Watch.
We can do that.
Yeah,
All right.
everybody be safe.
All right, I love you now. Take care.
Okay, love
All
you
right.
too.
We'll
Bye-bye.
get through it.
So
That's
Dennis, she was in Lakeland, which that's Polk County, and that's artist, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm over here feeling like I'm working on a morning show because I'm drinking my drink, except it's a Diet Dr. Pepper. It's usually they drink coffee in the morning.
I'm
right?
drinking coffee too, by the way, and it's midnight, so there you go.
I need another kind of drink if you need it.
I think we all will when this is over.
We earned it, yep.
What are we going to here, Chris?
Hey, you know what? It is worth mentioning one other thing. In fact, this is really worth mentioning. Okay, the center of the storm is now passing the latitude of Tampa. Okay. So we've been talking so much about the possibility of surge. Okay?
Right.
Well, the wind is now going to start turning around out of the southwest. It hasn't quite happened yet. It will be very soon. So I think we need to keep a very close eye on the bay and on the coastal sections because the tides are going to start going up now as well. So if we are going to get a surge, in fact, you know what? Why doesn't somebody check and see if we're getting any reports from Manatee County? Because Manatee County actually has already had the center pass, so the winds have come around. So the water is coming back into Manatee right now. So I think by seeing how they're doing, it'll kind of give us a pretty good idea, maybe at least a decent idea of how that water will impact coastal as in the bay, around Bayshore and Tampa, or any of Pinellas County or Pasco County. You know, Pasco is notorious for flooding with tropical systems as the wind comes in areas up near Hudson, and for that matter, down toward Newport Richey as well.
And Dennis, you were mentioning high tide is between midnight and 3, so we're just right now getting into it, right?
Yeah, it depends on the exact spot, but yeah, anywhere between midnight to 4, even as late as 5. So that's something we need to keep checking, as is right now this area. I mean, right there here. In fact, I can go ahead and kind of highlight the area for, hold on, let's go ahead and draw it here. Okay, so from right about here.
Which is, for our listeners, Dennis, where are you drawing this?
I'm drawing a semicircle
Winter Haven,
in the northern half of Polk County, from Mulberry back around through Lakeland, over toward Winter Haven, Dundee, and Lake Wales. That right there, that little area right there is where the heaviest wind is located, right in there. And I think it's pretty solid 80, 90, and in some cases up to 100 miles an hour. And that's exactly what the Weather Service said. They saw it coming. Mm-hmm. The Weather Service over in Ruskin, this was the case in Hardy County, and then they issued the warning actually before it even got into Polk County, and there it is.
And weren't you discussing, though, the new numbers that had come in about the surges, that the surge numbers were lower than what they first had forecasted, correct?
Yeah, the original, just for Tampa Bay as an example, you know, and that's something, people like to use the words Tampa Bay to describe our area. I'm not talking about Tampa Bay, our area. I'm talking about Tampa Bay, the Bay.
Hillsborough Bay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of used to, well, there's actually two. There's Hillsborough Bay on one side, and then there's actually the Tampa Bay itself on the other. They kind of feed into each other. But in terms of what we're talking about with the water that feeds into the bay, that is expected originally was 5 to 8 feet. That was the original anticipation, 5 to 8 feet. They bumped it down to 2 to 4. But the only problem with that is it's coming in, as Wendy mentioned, at a high tide. So you've got another foot to 18 inches added to that area. So you could still see 5 foot of surge. I'm not so sure you will, but this is kind of a gray area for us. And like I just said, now that it's getting very close to the latitude of Tampa, the winds are going to start to come around. They're not there yet. In fact, I can even show you this. It's a pretty good. Yeah, they're not there yet. They are for. Okay, this is, yeah. Look at Manatee. Okay, if you're listening on the radio, this one you're just going to have to go with, because I'm showing the winds coming around. And if you look over, I'll go ahead and circle this for you as well. Okay, you look right over here in this area. Okay, the winds, most of the day they're blowing from right to left, and then they're blowing north to south, and just now they're starting to come in from this direction. You can watch it. There they are, right there. So the winds are just beginning to come around, so that means the water is just going to start to go in. It has not started into the bay yet. You can see that. In fact, I'll go ahead and highlight that area right now. I'm going to stay on this, Chris. This is important stuff. This is 100-mile-an-hour winds that we're talking about in here. All right, so right in here, okay, this here is what we're concerned about. The winds are still right now coming in out of the northwest. So it'll probably be before the center of this storm gets into Zephyr Hills. That's when I kind of think we're probably going to see the water start coming around. So I don't think it's there yet. It may be there in Manatee County. And the other thing that we're concerned about, obviously, is that high wind warning, the extreme wind warning, not even a high wind warning, extreme wind warning. In Polk County, it's going to be better in about 15, 20 minutes. It's now up toward Polk City, Lakeland, Haines City, Winter Haven, Dundee, and all the way down to Mulberry. And it does extend to Hillsborough County, too. So even though there's not an extreme wind warning in Hillsborough County, they are getting it. This little feeder area extends all the way just northeast of Temple Terrace, over toward New Tampa, back toward Plant City and Seffner. Now, it won't be as high as the area in Polk County, but you're still seeing 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds. Now, you said you had some a live shot for us, Chris? Or a video? Chris is gone.
Chris May, what do you want to go to?
Justin
Justin Bruce is on the balcony. I guess he wants to show us what it's like up there. Is it bad, Bruce?
Yeah,
Justin?
I got to tell you, to quote photographer Ed here, hey, this is a lot worse than it was about a half hour ago the last time you guys came to us. The winds, if anything, have gotten a bit stronger. Feels like the rain is certainly a bit heavier. We're here in Tampa. Oh, great point. Yeah, so we literally just lost power right when you came to us. The streetlights have been on all evening here on Himes. You can't see it, Ray J, just across the street. But yeah, power is out. At least the streetlights are out. So that is a first, and probably indicative of the fact that it feels, anyhow, like the winds have been the strongest here in this part of Hillsborough County just now in the last half hour, as opposed to where they were this afternoon and where they were this evening, which is exactly what we've been hearing from the weather team for the last couple of days, that the storm was going to peak as the center of Irma's circulation. You can see the camera blowing around in the wind a little bit with the storm passing as we headed toward and past midnight. So pretty wild that we've just lost power. Something else we've noticed many times from our vantage point here, a lot of blue-green, low in the horizon power flashes, transformers glowing. So kind of scary up here. Still very heavy rain, very strong wind. I know Dennis earlier was telling someone off to the east, and I believe it was Polk County, there was about a half hour of the real strong wind to go. Dennis, I hope you've perhaps got some equally good news for the folks here in Tampa, because this is about as bad as it has been all evening. We'll send it back down to you guys.
Yeah, Justin, I imagine it probably will be another 30 minminutes, so hang tight.
Yeah, our Chris Welch has been at a hotel. This is obviously Raymond James Stadium that you're looking at there in the lights on the top of the stadium.
And this is just across from where Justin was standing, so you can see the wind, literally the rain looks like moving sideways, we talked about.
For our radio listeners, it's that rain is just blowing from screen right, screen left.
Or as Sean Daly would say, every which way, not just sideways, but every which way.
Yeah, up there. And he says it looks like steam coming off of the stadium, as a matter of fact. Chris Welch has been live for us tonight in North Tampa, right along Dale Mabry, where there's been a couple moments out there. The wind right on cue comes on there, Chris.
Yeah, it sure does. You know, I mean, you were with us a couple of hours ago when my photographer Isaac's hat blew off in the middle of the live shot. Our hats have been blowing off left and right, but really you can see the wind in these palm trees blowing back and forth. You know, within the last several minutes, we've seen and felt some of the strongest gusts that we have felt all night long. If you take a look over here, this, I showed you this a little while ago, this is continuing to build up very slowly. That's a good thing. But one thing I also want to point out, I'm going to walk back this way just a little bit, because what we have here is a storm drain. Take a listen to this. That's a very good sign. That means this water is draining. It has somewhere to go. Be very bad if that was, of course, flooded and we started to see water building up there. So good sign here for folks here in North Tampa. We want to just touch briefly on the power situation. You know, here at the hotel, we've been hunkered down at the La Quinta here on Dale Mabry and West Waters. We've seen maybe about a half a dozen flickers of the power. Really, it seemed like it was trying to go out for a good short while earlier tonight. Thankfully, that has stayed on. We have seen some transformers blinking back a couple hundred yards that direction, but by and large, the power has remained on here. That's one good piece of news from here. Another good piece of news is that we have only seen one car driving around in this part of town within the last couple of hours or so. So thankfully, people are heeding warnings and they are staying inside. Let's hope that remains the case.
All right. Thank you, sir. I want to mention this because TECO just announcing that now there's 261,100 people without power, over 261,000 people. And as we heard earlier, Justin was saying that literally across the street from us, all the lights went out. So people are losing electricity left and right as the storm continues northbound. And
hopefully people are getting some sleep, but it's kind of hard when your power goes out, too, because it's starting to get a little uncomfortable in there without the air conditioning going, and so we know that that's not going to be a fun night for them.
All right, Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips asking me to come to him right now.
Yeah.
He does this. That means
let's go.
now I have something important to say.
I'm looking at the wind, and it does appear to be just about the heaviest wind for the extreme wind warning for Polk County, but it's now in Hillsborough County. I'm gonna show you. You're looking right there at the radar loop for the folks who are watching, who are listening. I'm going to kind of talk you through who's getting the heaviest wind right now. So right along I-4 from Plant City up toward Knights, back to the west over towards Seffner, down toward Valrico. That little corridor right there looks to me like they're getting winds of about 70 to 75 miles an hour. Goes through Temple Terrace, back toward West Park, over toward just to the southeast of Citrus Park, up toward Cheval. And then from West Park down to Palm River, right on into downtown Tampa, over toward Gandy, down to Apollo Beach. A big chunk of Hillsborough County, I'd say half of Hillsborough County, maybe 2/3, is showing winds right this second, gusting up to about 70 miles an hour. And in Pinellas County, you're also seeing some areas from around Clearwater, just west of US 19, up toward Dunedin, through Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs, over toward Holiday, Elfers, Newport Richey, and then it winds down up just to the north of that. Now that whole area that I talked about is moving north, and that whole area has winds of about 70 miles an hour. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a loop right now, and there was that, you can see the area for the extreme wind warning has subsided. It's very clear. Shay, check this out. You can see you've got a blue area on the radar that I'm looking at. It was very heavy for a while. It kind of rotated northwest. Makes sense. We're thinking about a south to north movement with these, but they don't. They're rotating counterclockwise, because this is an area of low pressure. It's a huge area of low pressure, but in the northern hemisphere, low pressure rotates counterclockwise. So as I was looking at this wind, I kept thinking it's going to move from south to north, but what it's really doing is rotating back toward Hillsborough County. So that's why Hillsborough County is picking up the heaviest rain. And you know what? This is going to end up going to Pinellas County shortly thereafter. Had weakened, but it is still showing winds of about 50 to 60 miles an hour. So that is going to rotate back toward maybe from north of St. Pete through southern Pasco County and right on through Pinellas County. And I think we're going to the Polk County EOC. Is that for an interview or for a live shot? What do we got going there, Chris? Don't know. All right, at 1 o'clock, Chris is our producer in the control room, is answering 15 phones and trying to get everything going on.
It's chaos.
He just said chaos.
He said chaos.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to Brenda Leese live at the Polk EOC. And Brenda Leese, when we were talking to you last time, you know, we saw that extreme wind warning. There has to be some damage in Polk County right now. There just has to be, based on what just went through there.
Dennis, you're right, and we've now been told that we have to come inside of this building. They've put down these shutters all around the buildings, all around the windows of this. You can hear that just standing here, those strong wind gusts here pounding on all these windows, and we have heard reports of windows shattering over in Bartow, over in Fort Meade. That's what we're hearing about, the 80 per mile wind gusts over there. Strong winds. Polk County fire now only going if it's a critical situation, emergency, because of these strong winds. Again, we're here now inside. We have to stay inside until it's safe enough and these winds die down here. But this is where we're getting the strongest of the winds here in Polk County. Back to you, Dennis.
I'll tell you that right now. I think what I'd like you to do, if you could, in talking with some of the EOC folks, if you hear of any additional damage, because we got a lot of reports of winds close to 100 miles an hour. You get 100-mile-an-hour winds, you're going to get some damage. At the very least, you're going to get some trees down. But sometimes it's very hard since the EOC, excuse me, first time in 12 hours. I can't believe that. With that counterclockwise flow, you know, around Lakeland, it's pushing away, but because it's still 12:30 at night, well, there you go. There's what are you looking at right there? So we're getting some flooding now. Now that's interesting because
somebody's
the wind,
Facebook Live, I believe. Yeah, this clearly is somebody's walking around in some maybe some flood. They're just going around taking a look and see what's going on.
I'm still not so sure they're going to be getting a ton of flooding there. The wind is still offshore. I am sure what they are going to see is some stuff broken and some trees down. I mean, this was a very strong, it was a big area too. It wasn't just a small little cluster. It was half of Polk County that was rotating back. And for the folks who are listening right now, it has weakened, okay? And there's some of that wind right now from Tampa. And that's what I'm looking at on my radar. It's definitely weaker than it was before, but I would say a diagonal from northeastern Hillsborough County, maybe about 30 miles wide, okay? So from maybe Plant City up toward just south of Zephyr Hills, there's your diagonal, and you go all the way across southwest. So you're going northeast to southwest. There's a band of about 70 to 75 mile an hour wind gusts. Now that is rotating counterclockwise, so it's rotating back toward the coast. So that means this area, while it's weekend, we'll have to watch it, and it's definitely coming back toward the southern half of Pasco and Pinellas. And eventually, as Irma moves north, the center of Irma right now continues to pull north, it's going to take this wind along with it, and then we'll see if it's going to move into Pasco, Hernando. But let me look at a radar right there. What that is that's just rain. That is extremely heavy rain, and the flooding has not been an issue because that, again, earlier today, all of that water got pushed out. But now we're coming to the point where the winds are starting to come around. They look like they're maybe north in Pinellas, and very soon they're going to go northwest. The minute you see a W in the wind on any locations around here, that W means a west wind, and that means the water will start coming back in. Now, that's a great shot there. I mean, you got the wind coming in over at Ray J. There was a guy in the newsroom who was swearing that light was going to fall at some point in time earlier on in the week. That prediction, and I scoffed at him. I said, I'm sure they've got that rated for Cat 5 or maybe even then some. But we did get an announcement that at 1 o'clock today, there will be a press conference to talk about storm surge. Chris, was that in Hillsborough County? Meeting. Okay, never mind. It's a meeting in Manatee County at 1 o'clock to talk about the surge and what's going on. And at that point, up until now, they had not heard of any reports of any surge. But the winds, as we look at radar, the winds are just now coming out of the west in southern Pinellas and Manatee County. You can just begin to see it. So I am so interested in seeing how fast that water comes back into the bay after it came in today and how much higher it will be. But the good news is the forecast of a 5 to 8 foot surge has been downgraded to a 2 to 4 foot surge. So that is definitely good news. And there's again outside Tampa, I believe. Is that right? New Tampa. All right, so there's the first time we've gone to New Tampa that I've seen at least. And that's winds, that's winds gusting 50, 55. That's not terrible. I mean, but just imagine twice that. That's what it was in Polk County a little while ago. So I think that hour to 90-minute Polk County will end up being the heaviest wind that the Bay Area will have experienced. And I think tomorrow morning we're going to see a lot of folks. I'm going to sit down for the first time like 12 hours in this chair right here. I think we're going to actually start to see the damage in Polk County will be the worst in the area based on current track. That's because I don't think Citrus and Hernando and Pasco are going to have that kind of number because the storm continues to weaken. Guys?
All right. Thank you, Dennis.
We've been looking at that video outside too, and Dennis is going to keep working those numbers over there, keep on looking at those maps, and kind of letting you know where everything's going, because we got a few more hours of this, so when it's really bad, and then hopefully we can breathe a sigh of relief.
And we're about to bring you, from what I'm told, video from Raymond James Stadium of a transformer exploding. Oh, okay. He doesn't want me to promise it. I've already promised. Oh, there you go. I promised it, and you came through. Thank you, Chris May. Yes, this is right at Raymond James Stadium, and it's a transformer literally blowing up, and we got it on camera. There it is.
There it is. And you know what's interesting about this is that, this isn't the most exciting video in the world, but I will tell you this. Everybody on Facebook or Twitter tonight is saying, I keep hearing all these pops outside, these loud pops, these loud pops. Of course, they haven't seen what those loud pops are.
Also, it has to be incredibly frightening when all of a sudden they're outside of your house and you don't know what it is.
Well, of course. And then you hear Paul was talking to that woman on the phone in Lakeland and saying you're hearing all this popping going on. You're in the dark. You don't know what's going on outside. You hear all these things hitting your house. So these are the trying hours.
Why there's a curfew in place.
Exactly.
And speaking of curfews, many places have them, including Citrus County, and that's where our Maricela Burgos is. We're going to go to her in just a moment. What is this from? From Lakeland, just from 14 minutes ago to be exact, that somebody shot. And it looks like the wind is howling and really, really strong. And as Deb mentioned, they were under a wind advisory,
right?
It was
actually an extreme wind
advisory. And Dennis, look at those winds.
It expires now. It expired at 12:30.
Well, and this was 14 minutes ago, so I guess
15 now.
It was maybe 15 and a half.
Yeah, in it though. They are getting it out.
And it's just about over for Lakeland. I'm looking at it right here. Wind of I mean, that in our gusts. At one point, the highest forecast would have been about 100 miles. I got a question for you guys. This is something a lot of folks on Facebook have been saying. When I left for work today, I really looked at my house and I wondered if it was going to look the same way when I got home.
I did that 2 days ago. When I did 2 days ago, I literally looked at it and I thought, if this is it.
Yeah.
I just said a little prayer and hoped that I'd come back would look at somewhat the same.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of folks felt that way, even the folks staying put and didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
And I can't imagine anything. I mean, people are obviously petrified of hurricanes anyway, with good reason. But a hurricane in the middle of the night, with no power. I really can't imagine anything more frightening.
Right.
And hearing all those noises and not knowing if that's a tree limb or a full tree getting ready to come down on your house.
And you're in your safe room, hopefully, under a mattress, hopefully.
Yeah.
Frightening.
The thing too is so many folks and listening to us and watching us have kids. And, the kids are in the house right now and listening to all this too. You obviously, as adults, it spooks a little bit as we're sleeping in bed and hearing this storm go overhead. But for kids, I got to imagine this has got to be pretty terrifying for them too.
What are we looking at, Chris?
I think
Where's
that's
this
New
from?
Tampa. I seem to remember that being, looks like it at least. And oh wow, now that's, hey, is that there?
I think the light came down. Isn't this at Raymond James Stadium across the street?
I believe these are photo opportunities.
Photo opportunity. I think because the light finally fell. The light finally fell.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
I think I predicted it. It was about 30 minutes later.
Can you see? Yeah, it did. Can you see you can see the rain? They're kind of out past where they're at. Still coming down.
But it's still not flooding, and that's just what's crazy.
It is crazy, especially because the road is still so saturated, right?
Well, it is. But remember, that saturated water drains into the rivers and drains eventually into the bay and into the Gulf. So when the wind blew all that water out, it left a vacant area for this rain to go in. Irma actually helped us out by blowing this out before the rain came, and then once the rain ends, she's going to allow the water to come back in.
And it won't be nearly as strong, and so the surge won't be as high. Incredible.
Is this a phenomenon like that you never could have like predicted or thought that would have happened with all this?
I laugh at that one. We couldn't even get the track right on this one. I mean, it went back and forth 5 days.
But I mean, generally the track was so fickle. I mean, I felt like when we were watching other hurricanes along the way that it just didn't seem to go left, west and east and west. I mean, it was, you didn't know which way it was turning.
I pride myself on my background in meteorology, and honestly, this one, I just put my hands up in the air like, okay, I give up. You win. Because is he taking the light with him?
Are they really?
They're keeping the light?
No, I don't think they are. No, they're just walking.
Meteorologists, buddies of mine who I've talked to and that I've seen online.
These folks are picking up yet another light. You know what? I think they're actually getting it out of the roadway.
They are.
Or you're going to see it on eBay
They're being good Samaritans and clearing the road. So when folks get up in the morning to drive down Himes Avenue, they will not be running over a light. Absolutely. So we appreciate that. I don't know that they should be out there, but it is nice that they're clearing up the road.
So Dennis, this one has to sit.
I mean, it's our. I mean, that's why we do this, and this hurricane, the models failed just as miserably as everybody else did. I mean, I always talk about how accurate the European model is, and it went from the west coast to the east coast in 12 hours. It just didn't happen. So today, what was just so interesting is I've never in my life seen a hurricane empty out water from a bay in such a large scale. And if you right now, you guys go to WSI real quick, this is a picture that I was showing earlier. This is the Mobile Bay. This is Mobile, Alabama. Right. And the storm that was over South Florida cleared out Mobile Bay. And if you look at the top right side of that, that's a battleship that's grounded because the water got taken out 1,000 miles away. So this storm has done horrific things in the islands. It's done some of the most, it was a category. Remember the little thing that was going around just before this storm got strong, and somebody was saying this is going to be a category 6, and then a lot of people got all up in arms. There's no such thing as a category 6. Buddy of mine's an FSU grad, is his PhD in meteorology. He did an algorithm and figured out that this storm really would have been a 7 if there was such a thing based on the scale.
Right.
So Irma did some amazing things, most of them negative. When you look at how that water went out and then cleared out a path for all the rain, and then now the rain is going to be winding down and the water's going to come back in. That's just crazy.
I do have a question on that. Is it possible, I know meteorologists, you're the scientist here, but I'm going to give you this question. Did the cold front up north have anything to do with the hurricane going west to east and east to west as that cold front in both directions?
Kind of, sort of. It did at the end. What happened is, as Irma was going west across the ocean, there was a big ridge going right along with her. That ridge blocked her from going north. So for a period of time, we kept thinking the models were insisting that ridge would finally end and she would come around it and go up to the east side of Florida. And then a little bit later, the model said, no, she's not quite going to do it yet. The ridge is still pretty strong. It's going to make it into the central part of Florida. And then last night, the models came back and said, no, the ridge is still pretty strong. It's going to go all the way to the west coast of Florida, just offshore. And what really ended up happening is somewhere in between. And that cold front that Wendy talked about, that trough, is what helped to dig that hole on the left side, which allowed the storm to come on up. So the two usually work hand in hand when you're trying to determine where a hurricane's going to go.
Well, you've been talking about Polk County and the severe weather there. We've got Andrea Lyon in the middle of some of that severe weather and the great wind that's out there now. Andrea, is it blowing pretty good still?
We're going to me, right? I just want to make sure. Yeah, we're here in Winter Haven. We're in our hotel, the Shergill Hotel in Winter Haven. I, of course, had a hard time sleeping, waking up to surges of light, surges of power. We were hearing things crashing outside. I can't see outside because it's so dark, but all I hear is whistling wind and things crashing outside. We're not sure what it is. I'm going to put the microphone up to the elevator right now. There is some creepy, eerie wind howling through this elevator in our hotel right now. It says, it's closed down for sure, but I want you guys to listen to this. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear that at all. It picks up at some points. I also woke up to people coming out in the hallways. It's dark. We've got security lights on. We have one woman here who says she only felt safe coming out in the hallway. And Crystal, tell me what you're waking up to. I mean, we're kind of going through this together.
Just like lots of wind and rain crashing on the window. My window at one point started like flexing. Like I thought it was just gonna crash in, you know. So I just walked out here to the hallway. I feel a little bit safe, and then the elevator started making that crazy noise. I hope it passes through. I'm glad it's not as bad as it was supposed to be. So
I was saying the same thing. Thank goodness that it's kind of down. I don't know if we're at a 1 or 2 right now. I've been sleeping. But I know a lot of people have been evacuating to hotels. Did you find yourself in that situation too?
yes, I did. I actually had to come out this far to get a hotel room. They're all booked up over in like the Winter Haven area by the hospital. Like they're all booked up. I could not find no room. This is the only room I could find. And it's open right now.
I don't know if this is too personal. We had a mandatory evacuation of mobile homes and such. Was your home just not too safe enough?
No, it was just, there's a lot of trees around. You know, I was just not wanting to let anything crash on me. You know, I wanted to get into a hotel room. I feel safer in a bigger building other than a little house surrounded by trees.
Tell me what you've been hearing right now. You know, just hearing, and you know what you're kind of feeling right now.
Well, it sounded like the elevator was crashing in. There was a lot of bangs on my window. I'm not sure what that was. I can't see out the window, but I mean, I'm gonna say I'm feeling a little scared, but I feel like it's just gonna blow right over. You know, hopefully it's gonna blow over and not get no worse. So.
Absolutely. We hope that you stay safe. You were also telling us that there was transformers blowing outside. I didn't wake up to that, but I'm going to take you inside of our hotel room quickly here. It seems like the worst of it maybe have gone through over us, but I know the winds have just been howling in here. We've got a balcony out there, and yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're going outside right now. So, easy shut the door. I guess I'll send it back to you for now. We'll come back and show you some more as we kind of go down to the lobby, see who's waiting out there, guys.
Okay. All right, Andrea. Well, you stay safe out there. We do want to mention the city of Lakin actually just tweeting out that a lady with a 10-month-old baby was found in a ditch with 4 feet of water, but they were able to save both the mom and the baby, and they are now okay.
Yeah,
so,
we don't know if that was a car or if they just found them in a ditch.
Yeah,
not
it's
sure
a
what's
little
going on
confusing.
there.
If they were in a car and or it sounds like maybe she was with the child.
Well,
but
when you try to explain it in 140 characters or less, it gets a tweet. So
we'll
it's
probably look into it and see if we can find more information.
See if we can find out more on that too. I want to go and check at the top of our rooftop here. You see with Justin Bruce. He's reporting up there for us all night long. A lot of wind, a lot of rain. Last time we checked in with you, what's going on, Justin?
Yeah, a lot of both of those things. One difference since you checked in with me 10-15 minutes ago, we've started to see some flashes of lightning, and Dennis, I think we'll be able to confirm that. I told you earlier that we had seen several power transformer flashes, blue, green, sort of low in the sky. That was certainly eerie and ominous, but we have seen some lightning strikes off in the distance. Let me see if I can give you an illustration. The winds, and you're experiencing where you live, they come, they go. Right now, not too bad as we illuminate the street signs, the stop sign there in the distance. So not too bad, but tell you what, every couple 30, 45 seconds, the gusts pick up strong enough that I find myself having to hold on to the railing here. And we're just across the street from Ray J from the football stadium, and things pretty dark over there. The street lights actually went off the last time we were live on the air. Good news, they've come back on, so it happened fairly quickly. We're not too far from what appears to be a pretty large power substation, so generally speaking, the closer you are to those, the more likely you are to hold on to your power. But it's kind of interesting to see the lightning off the distance. Yes, to summarize, the wind, very, very intense, about as intense as it has been all evening, and the rain just relentless, will not let up. Big going in sideways. Seems like from all angles it kind of swirls around our building here at ABC Action News. But that's the situation right now. We'll let you know if it's going to get better or if it's going to get worse here as we head through the next 15 to 30 minutes. But here in Tampa, meteorologist Justin Bruce for ABC Action News.
All right, Justin, thank you. We want to go to Citrus County now, where Maricela Burgos is standing by to take an update on what it's like where she is. Maricela?
You know, it's still windy and very rainy, and honestly, I'm a little shocked right now because I saw someone walking down this road all the way down there. I don't know if you can see her. She has her raincoat on, and she was wearing a dress and just walking in the middle of the road, and I tried to shout out at her, you know, if she needed any help. Obviously, I don't think she heard me. It's so windy, and she's all the way down there, but I'm shocked, and I'm surprised to see anybody out on the road at this time when everyone should be. I have this map here so you guys can see it. Several Duke Energy customers in the state of Florida, just here in Citrus County, that don't have power. I mentioned that because across the street here in the government center, you see it's pitch black down there. In the distance, I thought I heard generators that kicked in. And then over here, we have power at this assisted living facility. And the power did flicker on and off several times. So we were worried here that maybe we would lose power, but I don't know if you can tell here by the light. I mean, it's still kind of, you know, blowing in the wind. But the next concern after power and after this goes away, after Hurricane Irma passes through, is going to be assessing what Citrus County looks like, how many, obviously, power outages there are down power lines, trees, debris, you name it, and of course, flooding. So that's what we're going to be doing. Not tomorrow. I said tomorrow because I did my shift yesterday. So today, later today, we're going to be checking on that. I know Jared is going to take over for me in a couple of hours, and then he'll be talking about what he sees out here, and then together tomorrow or today we'll be checking out what it looks like in Citrus County. So right now, at least, it seems a little bit quieter, and it's kind of hard to tell because it does pick up here and there, but we are safe here at the assisted facility. We're reporting live, Maricela Burgos, ABC Action News.
All right, Maricela, thank you. I think Dennis wanted to talk about the last interview with Andrea Lyon and that woman, that little girl she was talking to.
I thought that was so interesting because did you hear what she said in the interview? She said that those were flexing, like literally caving in. And that's typically what they do just before they pop with the pressure differences or with just the wind. And that's the first time I've heard anyone describe that from this storm so far today. So it just leads me to think that she probably had winds earlier on. I mean, it's been a while since they've had that, maybe almost an hour ago, but close to 100 miles an hour. So when we had that extreme wind warning that was in effect, and by the way, it's no longer in effect, but I'm still looking at the heaviest winds. In fact, I'll go ahead and tell you exactly where they are right now. Looks as though that they are right this second from around Temple Terrace, east about 10 miles, and then back to the west toward Carrollwood, and then right on down toward downtown Tampa, over toward the bay, and then across the bay, so the bridges. We have a shot of the, well, it would be the Skyway, it would be the Howard Franklin. If we could get a shot of the Howard Franklin, I'm sure it's dark, you wouldn't be able to see anything, but it's really windy there right now. And then into Clearwater, FDOT cams are limited, so we can't get, because it's really, really coming in right then. And then over in Pinellas, it's around Dunedin south through Clearwater, over toward Pinellas Park, Seminole, Largo area. Those are the regions showing the heaviest wind. The wind probably 60 to 70 miles an hour. And Citrus, Hernando, it's definitely not quite as bad right now. Now, Sarah Hollenbach is in St. Petersburg, and she's actually getting some of that wind right now, or right on the fringe of it. I'm guessing about maybe 50, 55 miles an hour right this minute. So, oh, yep, look at her hair.
It sure feels like it's going 55 miles an hour. There's been a lot of points, Dennis, where we've literally had to grab onto this concrete and sort of stagger our feet like this in order to hold on. This pickup truck right here has been bouncing up and down in the wind. It looks okay right now, but man, it has just been kicking us out here. There's a storm surge warning right now in St. Pete, but we've been checking out the streets down here and they actually look really dry. And I can tell you, I'm really not getting any rain right now, just this crazy wind. Now, I also have worried to tell you, I just talked to one of my friends. She lives in St. Pete. She actually had a transformer blow. She said it started a fire on her roof. She roof right now. That's very scary here, so that we wouldn't have any objects go into us. We've seen some stops.
County right there. So that means areas to the south and west are going to start seeing that wind come around. And within an hour, that's when we're going to start worrying about that surge issue. If it actually materializes or not, we're just going to have to wait and see. Got a 1 a.m. update for power outages. Tico now 272,000 people without power. Duke Energy, 639,000. So right there, you do the math. That's 900,000 people just right there. In Manatee County, 105,000 people without power. Sarasota, 159,000 people without power. DeSoto County, 14,000 people. And Charlotte County, 66,000 people. And the guy who's giving me these updates, obviously he's a Cowboys fan, because I got the final score. The Cowboys did defeat the Giants 19-3 in Sunday Night Football. So there you go. And the Bucs start next week. And by then, this thing will be a thing of the past. Most everybody can clean up and we can enjoy some football on a Sunday, right?
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Chris Welch has been a hotel there in North Tampa, off Dale Mabry, getting close to the original Carrollwood area, if you will.
Near Waters.
Near Waters. And Dennis was saying that the Carrollwood area was starting to get some of the heavier winds there in a little bit. So, Chris, what's it looking like up there?
Yeah, I mean, for a while, really within the last 45 minutes to an hour, things had been, maybe about an hour ago, things had been at sort of their peak. Maybe a half hour ago, things had been sort of from the heaviest gusts that we felt all night. Take a look around right now, though. This palm tree's been swaying back and forth throughout the night. We are still getting those big gusts, but I can't say it doesn't seem like it's come as frequently, as often as it for the last several hours or so. You know, right now, as I'm saying that, of course, we're getting another one of those big gusts coming through here. Take a look at the parking lot in the distance here at the La Quinta. Things still looking a little bit hairy. You know, we're certainly not out of the woods yet. Of course, we're going to be waiting to, you know, how the back half of this storm pushes through here. And as I say that, start to get pummeled, of course. These bands start to come through and we just get hit. You know, the flags have been spinning up in the flagpole all night. We've seen teams staying inside the hotel guests that were hunkering down in the lobby, sort of watching us, watching the storm. They have, by and large, gone to their rooms. It looks like there's a lot of lights on in the hotel rooms. We've got people not in the lobby anymore, so it's very quiet here. People inside, people staying inside, exactly what emergency officials want people to do at this point. So we're going to be joining them as soon as this live shot is over. We're going to head back inside, and that's what we will ride the rest of this storm, and we'll be back out to talk to you when conditions change again.
All right, stay safe out there. You're looking at a TICO map of all the outages right now. Over 275,000 people still without power as we speak, and we probably anticipate that number to go up as the winds continue to howl in many of our counties.
That's about 40% of their customers right now that without power, and that's something that they estimated last night that probably are in the 35 to 50% range is what they were estimating folks would lose in this storm. Their customers right now close to 40%.
We heard FPL as well as Lakeland and Energy, also a lot of folks out of power. 500,000 total across the state, so that's still a lot of folks who don't have power with this storm yet.
So it's heavy winds out there, but not the winds that we thought.
Hey everyone, we're experiencing really powerful wind surges out here right now. This is in Pinellas County in Largo. I'm wearing protection on my eyes. This is not a fashion statement. This is designed to protect from flying. Such a strong force of the rain coming at you really.
Stay safe out there. What's cool about those goggles is that he could use them for Halloween. In the
something. And, you know, actually, this is something that when you're talking about hurricane coverage, report those now probably the last year or two. Something didn't used to see before. But trust me, you
It
need
is.
them out there. Safety thing.
I mean, and truly, we saw even my down in Charlotte County, he couldn't even open his eyes.
Yeah.
The wind and the rain was just so harsh. So I was, but you got to protect yourself, especially when you're in literally hurricane. Yeah. I want to Dennis for a second, just find out what the list is as far as the strong. Is it still Polk County?
No, it isn't. I'm texting my neighbor.